You can cut out all I said and put it that way and people will get it. Anything I said.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this video. I am joined by co-rectors of Trinity Anglican Church in Washington, PA, Jamey and Tracey Russell. Hi, guys.
Hi.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for being willing to talk about what it means to be deputies at convention and how that is a vital service to our diocese. So you guys are rectors. You guys have sent deputies to convention. How would you guys explain to them what convention is and why it matters?
Well, when we were talking about this, convention is primarily and first and foremost the legislative body of the diocese. I mean, that's where we go to vote on all kinds of business things that have to do with the church and how it runs in the whole diocese, not just in the local congregation. So we vote on changes in canons, we vote on bringing new churches into the diocese, that kind of thing. We vote on the budget. It's where people get to see like both how the diocese is run, but also make decisions on how the diocese and the whole and all the other churches run. So
it's also a time, though, it's not just business all the time. It's also a time that we get to hear about the ministry of our brothers and sisters in the diocese, about their mission. There's the great Year in the Life of the Diocese slideshow that has all sorts of wonderful pictures showing what each church is up to. We also get to worship together, which as Anglicans, that's something we really treasure. I always really enjoy hearing from the bishop as well. The bishop always gives an incredible sermon and kind of sets the vision for the next year for the diocese in that sermon. So those are some other things that happen at convention.
Awesome.
it's also one more thing we forgot to talk about is deciding who's all the different councils around the diocese. That's when we could vote on representatives for those councils.
Yeah.
So guys, what are you looking for when in a lay deputy to convention from the people in your congregation?
Well, obviously, the very first thing we look for is someone that loves and follows Jesus. That's super important if you're going to make decisions for the church. But we're also looking for someone who's not afraid to voice their opinion, someone who will speak up if they have questions, but also someone who is a good listener. At convention, that's what we want to be doing. We want to be listening to each other, but we also want our voice to be heard as individual churches.
The other thing we look for is someone who's actually invested in the life of the church in a bigger way. So they actually have spent time and effort into how, our local church runs, so that they're really interested in that, and that there's more than just an interest in showing up on Sunday and a few little things, which is great in itself. But actually, how does the church run? What does it look like for doing church, sort of the mechanics of the church as well?
Yeah, they have to have skin in the game.
Absolutely.
If you cut out all I said and put it that way and people will get it. Anything I said.
So a little more, specifically, when you guys or your vestry asks somebody to represent your congregation at convention, what are you asking them? What are your expectations?
Well, we expect them to sort of put some time into figuring out what convention is going to entail that year. So they need to take a look at the pre-convention materials. They need to attend pre-convention sessions, and then show up for the whole of convention. So sort of to educate themselves on what's going on before they even get there, and then to spend the whole time there that weekend.
They really do need to read the pre-convention journal carefully because they're going to be voting on things like the budget. So they need to know what's in the budget. So it has to be someone that we know we can depend on to do those kinds of things, because we want our vote to actually mean something.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that, point, we all have skin in the game. Those of us who are attending our, as you guys said, those of us who are attending our local congregations, we give to our local congregations, and then a portion of that is given to the diocese, which is what the diocesan budget is comprised of.
Right.
So all of us have a piece, you know, a little share in what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's one of the nice things about sending people there, is that they get to see, oh, this is what they're doing. This is what's happening. We're not just sending money off to this nameless, shapeless thing out there, but these are the people who work there. This is what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. If they have a question, or if they don't understand something, like maybe this is the first time somebody has ever, you know, looked at our Constitution and canons, or ever thought about it, what should your deputies do?
If they have questions about things they're reading in the pre-convention journal, well, that is one of the reasons we have the pre-convention hearings, is so that any lay deputy that has read something in the journal and is confused or wants clarification, they can ask at the pre-convention hearings. Members of diocesan staff are usually the best people to answer those questions. But obviously they can also turn to their rectors and ask questions. And, you know, if we don't know the answer, we'll find it. So
she's more likely to know the answer than I would. The diocesan level stuff.
Is convention always like all business and seriousness? Like, what's fun and interesting about it?
Well, I mean, just spending time with other people around the diocese, you get to know them. There's the great slideshow of, you know, the year in the diocese, where we get to see photos of all the other dioceses, and I mean, not dioceses, all the other churches and all that they're doing. So there is more going on all the time in terms of what is it like to be not just related through the business of the church, but in the ministry and worship of the church.
yeah, even as part of the business meeting, though, we have people giving testimonies as to what's happening in their church. We have ministry minutes where we can see what people are doing in mission. And of course, we also have worship together, which is really important. Another really fun thing that happens at convention, though, is when we get to welcome new parishes and mission fellowships. That is always so incredibly, you know, exciting and encouraging, I think, to other members of the diocese, because it means new churches are being built. You know, the kingdom is expanding. So that's also a really fun part of convention.
It sure is. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So convention in 2020 is virtual. We hope we get to have it in person again soon. But in either setting, in either context, in person or virtual, what kind of tips would you share with your deputies or other deputies among the diocese about convention?
I think the first tip I would have, just remembering the first time I was at convention, I had never been a lay deputy. So when I got ordained and was a voting member of convention, I was really blessed to sit next to someone who had been there a few times, because I did not understand Robert's Rules of Order. So they'd be saying things about kind of procedural, you know, ways we were doing things. And I was like, what? So I would just really recommend that you look over those things so you understand what it means when they call for a point of order or something like that. You know, it's these words that I hadn't heard before. Yeah, I would recommend that. Just have a basic understanding of Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah, and because it's virtual, the first thing that come to my mind was, I know that a lot of people have been struggling with, all right, how do I use this program? How does this work? How do I log on? How do I fix my audio? All these tech things that can get in the way of just getting started. And just to advise that people spend some time with whatever program or whatever platform they're going to be using, so that they know if it's going to be working, what questions they might have ahead of time. That's one of the great things about the pre-convention meetings this year, is that was part of them, was to do troubleshooting and to teach people, here's how you use these tools. So if people have questions, they should figure them out before the day of, or 5 minutes beforehand.
Before it's time to vote.
Thank you guys so much, Tracey and Jamey Russell, co-rectors of Trinity, Washington and Washington, PA. We hope that you guys all found this video to be helpful and informative. If you have any other questions about what it means to be a deputy, please contact your rectors like these guys. or you're welcome to contact the diocesan office or check out our website at www.pitanglican.org. Thanks so much. See you at convention.
Bye. See you there.